All right. So I think what I'm going to do, everybody, is I'm going to mute everybody's line, and then if you have something to say, then just click on your little microphone in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Mute all. There we go. And that takes that hiss out of the call, so everybody can hear me. I'm assuming. So, you know, when this call is called fine tuning, and the reason why we're doing this call is because it's necessary for one, but most when we start on Sunrider, a lot of us we think in terms of starting on the basic program. So we use the New Plus and the Quinary and the Cali and the Fortune and the Sun Care, and our lives usually change a lot because of that, because we start supporting our body systems and start feeding our body. But there's usually, like, people usually have lots of like little health things going on with digestion and different things. And so over the years, a lot of us who've been doing this for a while, we have all these little tricks up our sleeve. Oh, if you adjust this, oh, I can tell if you got that issue, you need to quit eating this and whatnot. So we're going to tell some of these stories this morning, and we're going to talk about some of the other products that we fine tune with that are just right off the top of our head. So my first thing that I was going to mention is years ago when I was introduced to Sunrider, and I was introduced to this philosophy. And sometimes we get bored with it and I don't talk about it for a long time. And then I start thinking about it. I realize, gosh, we just can't talk about this enough, because unless people get this, they just don't really understand health in general, maybe. And they don't necessarily understand Sunrider, because Sunrider is a food company. And so this is how it was explained to me, is that there's three principles to this philosophy of regeneration. The first principle is that the body can heal itself of almost anything if it's given the right raw materials. So what does that mean? It means that if you cut your hand, you just expect it to heal, right? If it didn't heal, you go, wow, what's the problem with my body? But we seem to not think about, well, if my liver wasn't functioning properly, can it heal properly? And can other issues heal properly? And they can. And years ago, Randy did a document, and he had all these statistics listed off of how long it takes for your body to regenerate everywhere, like from the skin, from your lips to your rectum, from your liver to your bones. Everything in your body actually completely regenerates and replaces itself. It just, some areas take longer. So the first principle is the body can rebuild and rebalance itself and self-regulate itself. So things like, if I'm in a really crabby mood, chances are I've done something to cause that, right? I ate something I shouldn't have, or I'm not getting enough sleep or whatever. And there's foods that I could eat that would help balance my body to make me feel better. So it works on that level too. Now, the second principle is that if I need raw materials to do this, what kind of raw materials? And that takes us into vitamin supplements, and it takes us into um, medicinal herbs and different foods in our diet. So in other words, is it possible to feel really good eating craft dinner and drinking coffee? Probably not. So the Chinese took 5,000 years to figure out how to feed your body systems and to support it properly. And they broke it down into different body systems, 5 major systems, and then your brain is split in 2, and blood sugar system and cleansing system and different systems. So there's a lot of really unique body systems. And Dr. Chen, the owner of Sunrider, he talks about this as having a house with different rooms, kitchen, bathroom, etc., furnace room, all having unique needs as far as different types of furniture. And he said it's the same thing with your body. And so it's finding the right foods to feed your body. So people go, so, it's like, so if I feed my body the right foods, my body can self-balance and regulate. So my bloating can go away and different things if I feed my body right. Yes. And so again, that's what we're talking about this morning. But the third principle is just as important as the first 2 principles. And the third one is we must be willing to take responsibility. That Health doesn't come in a pill from a doctor. It doesn't come from a prescription. Taking responsibility means listening to this conference call, listening to a recording, in deciding to go to the gym and start exercising, going to the doctor and having a physical and find out, is it okay if you exercise? So taking responsibility is getting up in the morning and deciding, you know what, I'm not going to have that coffee today. I'm going to have a cup of Cali or Fortune Delight. I'm going to start my day different. I'm going to start making different choices. So that's the three principles. So once you understand that, then, and that your body can self-balance and regulate, then we can talk about these things and maybe it'll make more sense to you. So for the first topic is what is possible as far as regeneration. And I was going to ask Trudy to talk a little bit, because Trudy was, her health was very poor and she was dying. And she doesn't talk about that too much, but she was. She had lupus and fibromyalgia. And Trudy, she got this philosophy maybe more than anyone I've ever met. And she embraced it. She had tried so many things to try to get healthy. But when she come across Sunrider, she just did whatever it took. And that's a long, long time ago now.
Thanks, Jim. You know what? I like your summary of my story because that really is what it was about. Regeneration is real. Our body is desperate for the right nutrition to absorb it and take it in and rebuild itself. And it can rebuild itself if you give it enough time and you give it enough of the super nutrition. I had to start really gentle with the cleansing part, which is your Fortune Delight and your Cali. But I really hit the nutrition. My body was craving the nutrition, and I would have 6 or 8 servings of New Plus a day and 2 to 3 packages of Quinary a day. But there was one other product, Jim, that I don't think I would have regenerated without this one, and it's Vitadophilus. And the Vitadophilus is your probiotics. It's your friendly bacteria. And because I had been on antibiotics for 15 years nonstop, when I was really, really ill, and I had to, otherwise I would have been dead. I wouldn't have been here to talk to you today. It's taken me the next 22 years of constantly rebuilding that friendly bacteria in my body. And Vitadophilus for me, I don't know if people on this call are eating it, but I can have a little bit of a stomach, not too comfortable. I'll eat a package of Vitadophilus, and in 5-10 minutes, my stomach just goes, like it feels so good, and it works really quickly for me. And I think everyone that I try, every single person that I present the regeneration philosophy to, gets a package of Vitadophilus right there in the presentation. And I'm serious, like I've done thousands of them, and all of them have the same response. Within 5-10 minutes, their body just goes, right? It really helps nourish our digestive system. So I really feel that was one of the fine-tuning, absolutely, that I added in really, really quickly because I was desperate for it. My body desperately needed to have the probiotics in my gut to put that friendly flora back in. We can't absorb a lot of our vitamins and minerals without that friendly bacteria in our system. It really helps to aid in our digestion. And so you could be eating superfoods, poor digestion, and you're not absorbing them. So I would add the Vitadophilus. That was my absolute key.
Now, the thing about probiotics is that your stomach acid kills most of them before they ever get where they need to go. And that's a unique thing about the Vitadophilus. And every Sunrider product is a unique way of dealing with it. It's not just let's sell this to make some money. So the Vitadophilus is coated with an apple pectin, which stops it from breaking down in your acid in your stomach, but opens up in the alkaline environment of your small intestine. And so that's why it works so good. Okay, so we've talked about what is possible, and that was like 25 years ago, Trudy, 20 years ago?
It's been 22 years ago today.
And you are a very vibrant, busy woman now.
Yeah, I went from being bedridden to being able to go back to work in 6 months, and in 2 or 3 months after that, I took a good look at it and I thought, oh, to heck with this job, I want to go out and help people. I felt like I had a calling. I felt like I was being called to help people because I could see what it did for me. And I'm looking around and people are so tired and so lacking energy and just not feeling great. And I gave me a purpose in my life. So
Sure did.
it's been a lot of fun.
When Trudy got her first check in the mail, she phoned me up and she goes, I think there must have been a mistake.
Yeah.
They
I
sent
wanted
it
to
back.
send it back because I thought they'd made a mistake because all I was doing is eating the foods and helping other people. I didn't know I'd get paid for it.
It's so funny. So now, Trudy, in your journey, you'd also found a bunch of things that you were doing that were not working. So
Yes.
you had your hair sent away for a
Yeah.
vitality analysis. And I believe you found that your yeast was high and lots of food sensitivities that you were unaware of.
Yeah.
And those also had a lot to do with you getting better.
Well, you know what? It was an awesome tool. I would love Randy to talk about it a little bit because it's a tool that I use all the time. And my new people that I'm introducing Sunrider philosophy of regeneration in the foods to, if they have a health challenge, I'm not a medical doctor. I love doing the hair analysis because it helps them on their health journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Randy, that's your cue. You're muted.
Mute.
There we go.
Yeah, Jim, when I started Sunrider, there was only two products. There was Cali. Well, I only knew of two products, Cali and New Plus. And I got terrific results on that. People we knew got terrific results. And then we went to Calgary and met Andrea Langer. We found out about Quinery and the Sun Pack. And like you say, everyone was just eating the basic foods, the Sun Packs, and people got terrific results. And I'm pretty clear that most people can achieve all their health goals on the foundation foods.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, Dr. Chin started making all these new, better, he kept adding more wonderful Sunrider foods. And so at a certain point, you have to start making decisions. Do I choose Cali or Fortune Delight? We now have 4 or 5 different kinds of New Plus, and we have 20 plus different kinds of balancing foods. And like you said, some people are actually working against the Sunrider foods with their lifestyle. Like maybe their body doesn't deal with milk very well, but they think it's a great thing, so they're drinking all this milk, and it's actually taking away some of the benefits that they could be getting from Sunrider. So we came up with a testing procedure, and it's now been 27 years. And one of the main ideas was that we wanted to follow, we wanted to follow the philosophy of regeneration. And we wanted it also to be holistic, because this kind of test, it could test like the 3rd layer of skin on your big toe, but what good would that do? So we came up with this idea of whole body vitality, and that's an overall level reading of your health. And so everything is based upon that. So if we test your liver, we're going to test whether your liver is helping your whole body health or taking it away. If we test New Plus, we're testing whether does it help a little, or maybe it helps a lot. Or if we are testing broccoli or milk, we're testing whether it helps or takes away from that. And so it's a very holistic measure, and we want people to use this to help get in touch with their body. Because like you said, the 3rd principle is taking responsibility, and within that responsibility is respond. You get in touch. Ideally, you would just listen to your own body, or you just look at a food and you know that it was good. So we've been doing this testing now for 27 years. It's very convenient because you just send it off in the mail. You don't have to travel somewhere to an office or something like that to get it done. And it's very inexpensive. I was telling a group of people about this who had never heard of anything like this before, and they're used to working in construction and stuff, and I said, oh yeah, it's only $35. And they go, what? And it's like, they're used to drug testings that cost $200 and $300 for just very few little things. And as you may know, if you get if you get lab tests, they're in the many, many hundreds of dollars. So this was a way that people could find out the very best foods for their bodies. And it seems to work. People, you can hear probably some people will speak up, but people get really good results when they're taking the right foods. And I thought I would just add that one of the things we learned through the testing was that how superior the Sunrider foods are. Like the person who's doing this testing, he tests not only Sunrider foods, but all kinds of supplements. He tests, of course, all kinds of table foods. And Sunrider foods are just shine. They're consistently at a very, very high level of energy. And there actually are other good supplements out there. If you walk into a health food store, of those, I don't know, thousands of bottles they have there, there would be a few good ones. But the trouble is finding those, and they don't often work together. But the Sunrider set of foods and supplements, they all work together, and they're all good. So you can really feel confident in anything you pick from Sunrider is going to be good. But this was trying to figure out what's super good for you, if you can think that way. And so we found out that the Sunrider foods are superior. They are amazing for you. They test really, really well. And throughout the years, I thought I would just maybe list some of the foods that come up as either interesting or surprising as always testing well for people. And interestingly enough, I think they'll end up to be some of the foods we're talking about today. Now, in the nourishing category, this is actually a little surprise, but Dr. Chen's newest Protein Plus is off the charts. It's really, really testing well. So anybody that gets a chance at that, or unfortunately we don't have that in Canada, but some people have access to it, but it's testing really, really well, better than anything he's come out in the nourishing category for 20 years. That's how good it is. And in the cleansing category, Evergreen often tests well for people. And so don't be scared of that. I don't know if we'll talk about that today.
Yeah, we are.
But other super ones are like Trudy said, Vitadoflus. If I were to choose a product after Quinery, it would be actually Vitadoflus that often tests well for people. So you can almost assume that would be good for you. Electrosport often turns out well, and dandelion root. And for the women, I'm sure you'll talk about this, Jim, maybe Pearl turns up very good often. And for the men, it's Korean ginseng. But as I said, it's a very simple thing. You just send it off. It takes 2 or 3 weeks to get the results. And we like people who know about both the Sunrider foods well and Vitaly Nellis to do the explanation. And we've been, as I say, we've been going for 27 years now, and people are quite happy with the results.
Yeah, no, it's great. And thanks, Randy, for that explanation. My first hair analysis, I'll just say this, is that was 25 years ago or 30 years ago. Oh, yeah, 30 years ago or more, actually. And it came, I just found there were certain times of the day I was so tired, and I was farming and working. So when I was farming, I was so dog tired in the tractor. And when I got my hair analysis back, it was like wheat and beef and margarine and corn and dairy, yogurt. They were horrible for me. And I looked at that list and I was like, oh my God, that's what I live on. You know, no wonder I'm so tired. And I had such an experience, like literally within 3 days of getting rid of all those and making the change to what was positive on the list, which wasn't much because I only did the little test, the 22 foods, instead of the 140 foods. And it was like someone took a huge dark cloud away.
Right, yeah.
Happier and more energetic and whatnot. It made that much difference. I was so impressed with it, yeah.
And a lot of people might hear that wheat is not good for you or milk products are not good for you. But when you see it in print, tested against your name, then you take it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
That's right. So I've used it for years. And then a while ago, I was having problems, like, well, 5 years ago, serious problems with pulling muscles in my back because my legs were so tight, my hamstrings. And so one day I pulled a hair analysis out of the cupboard that I'd done a couple years before that. And I was like, oh, Korean ginseng. I never noticed that before. So I got on Korean ginseng. And within a week, it started to like get way better. And I was like, I've been fighting this with Pilates and spending lots of money on massage and different things. I could not really get it until I did that. So to put it together of knowing I should take Korean ginseng for tight muscles, I would have never connected the dots on my own. That's how nice it is to have that test. And it works together with bloating and digestive issues and all that kind of stuff. So we can come back with questions later, unless one of you guys, my leaders here, has a comment they want to make.
I wouldn't mind just saying one little thing. Like that vitality analysis was so helpful for me. When I was first introduced to Sunrider back in '98, the same time as Trudy, I wish I'd known. I had fibromyalgia and stuff, and this naturopath doctor told me these things to do with Sunrider, but he didn't tell me the right ones. He got me to do Cali, which didn't work and stuff, you know. And then so 2 years later, I did a vitality analysis, and the products that came up for me were just totally right on, and they really helped me to feel better. You know, it was just like it helped me to move forward, and you know, yeah, that's good. Just
Okay.
I'd say that.
Okay, good. Yeah, for Trudy, Kelly was a little too strong for her for a while. It took a while before she could drink Kelly. All right, so now we're going to move on to our next. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
I
Diana.
just got mine out. I haven't looked at it for this was in October, and Simply Herbs New Plus is 3 tick marks. And it made a difference to know that. And Fortune Delight is 3 tick marks. So I'm drinking more Fortune Delight than Cali. Sunergy Plus is something I added in. And I love the Sunergy Plus. It gives me a lot of energy, and that had 3 tick marks. And the Quinery had 3 tick marks, and Joy. So it really helped me to fine tune my Sunrider, and I've added all, you know, or I've increased those. And yeah, it's really valuable. Plus then, of course, with the foods, all the usual suspects, but it was really nice to see that if I have, you know, most of the vegetables are amazing, and even things like kidney beans and things like that I wasn't using give me energy. So it's very beautiful how you can fine tune your daily food.
Well, what I like to do with the food sensitivity part is I recommend that everybody get the 140 food sensitivity. And so then I'll go through their list, and, you know, the regular suspects, like you're mentioning, Diana, is usually wheat and cheese and yogurt and things like that. Ketchup is always like horrible for people, and coffee and alcohol and colas and regular teas and there could be some fruits in there. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, so you go for lunch, and beef is usually like the worst possible. And so I'll say, you go and have a hamburger. So you got your wheat, you got your ketchup, and you got your beef. And then you have a coffee with that, or a cola. And after you eat, you're one of those people driving around. You can tell they're just in a fog. And you're tired, and you really need a nap. And you look over their list, and you pull out, oh, quinoa, right? Or some vegetables, or chicken, or whatever. So you say, or you go and have a stir fry. And you have that with some quinoa, and you have yourself a cup of Fortune Light or Cali to go with that. And you walk out of there like, wow, I feel so good. You could take on the world. So it's always your choice. It's your choice of how well you want to feel, and you can just follow that. And people don't always change, but at least when they have a day that they feel really lousy, they can go back to their list and go, okay, this is what I did wrong today. So it's a journey, right? The next one I was going to talk about is, we're going to stay with a few different foods here, Marilyn was going to talk about sun care. Marilyn?
I'm just trying to get it unmuted. Sorry. Okay.
Sorry.
Hi. Okay, sun care. Yes, I wouldn't live without sun care. I had a real bad problem with hypoglycemia, but I didn't know that's what I had. So when Sunrider came along and I could keep my blood sugars level, it stopped with the fainting spells, the dizziness, that heart palpitations. You know, you'd always be shaky and stuff. And the wrong thing to do was not to have anything, right? Things like apples, anything really sweet. If I ate something like that, you know, everybody always say, you know, grab some fruit or whatever. That would knock me on the floor, like literally pass me right out. Orange juice, apple juice, anything like that. So for me, oh my God, Sunrider with the sun care was absolutely it. And now I've balanced my blood sugars now for 30 years. And I don't think I would, you know, like when Jim said one time, you know, if you could buy one product, what would it be? You know, if they were going to close, and I would take every bit of money I could find and give whatever, and I'd buy all the sun care forever because I would not want to be without it.
You and your dad.
My father is on kidney dialysis, and once kidney failure happens, if the pancreas isn't being fed and nourished, you end up with diabetes moves in when your kidneys fail. So my father has still been going now for 7 years, being on dialysis because of sun care. And he just, when you ask that man, you know, like, what are you grateful for today? And he'll just look at you and with a little tear design, he'll say sun care. Because if it wasn't for sun care and Callie and Fortune, you know, like, he wouldn't be here today. So he gets to see all the grandchildren. He gets to enjoy the horses. He gets to enjoy a lot of things in life every day just because of sun care. So that's my story. Sorry about that.
That's great, Marilyn. Because sometimes people think, oh, they see this herbal skincare, and they go, oh, yeah, that can't be good for you. But it's a powerful product, and
and it works really good on the skin. It really does.
Yeah, and you know, it's almost easier to talk about it in the United States, but in the U.S. it's called Sun Nectar dietary supplement. And you have a few drops, and it gives you like 4 hours of blood sugar just from a couple of drops. And it breaks down slowly. It's so powerful. And in Canada, it's sun care, herbal skincare. Okay, so now we were going to talk a little bit about the Quinary formulas. And we're kind of assuming everybody's doing their Nourish, Balance, and Cleanse. And Quinary is a balancing formula, but you can break down the Quinary formulas. And this shows up in the hair analysis too, where sometimes it shows up with AD or PA or LS. There's 5 formulas that make up Quinary. And Tricia was going to talk just a touch about that, because you can do that. So if you ever have a weak spot, you just take more of that food. So Dr. Chin explained this as, if you have a team of 5 horses and you have one that's sick, do you just feed the sick one, or do you feed all 5 and feed the sick one a little bit more? And so that's the idea of Quinary. You give them all Quinary, feeding the 5 systems, but if you have one weak one, you can have a little bit more of that. Trisha?
Oh, thanks, Jim. Well, like Marilyn says, for her, the sun care, she'd buy it all. If it was up to me, I would buy all the Quinary. The Quinary, and Jim, I will quote you, we call it the find it, fix it food. Because no matter what's wrong with you, rather than trying to figure out, well, is it my endocrine system that needs more PA or my digestive system that needs more AD, hit it with the Quinary. Because oftentimes one system is weak because another system is weak. So you can't really just feed one system. You have to feed, as you said, all 5 horses. And the wonder of the Quinary is not only is it nourishing and balancing your physical body, but it's also nourishing and balancing your emotional body. I'm type 1 diabetic for 53 years, and I went blind and my kidneys failed and whatnot, which got me into Sunrider. And so the emotion related to the kidneys is fear. And I used to be afraid of everything. I always wanted to teach Sunday school at our church in Saskatoon, but I never had the nerve to do it. And when I started on Quinary, and I started hard. I did 3 pouches a day because my body was starving. And within 3 months, I was teaching Sunday school. All my fear was gone. And I just kind of thought, what the heck has happened? You know, yes, my kidney function returned, my all of my health issues, my eyes quit hemorrhaging. I saw such incredible results with the basic Sunrider foods, but the emotions, to see the emotions come into balance, that was really neat.
Cool. Now, when we originally were speaking about the quinary formulas, and what Tricia was going to mention was she's had some really good luck with dogs and people when it comes to getting pregnant.
Right. Yeah, like most people these days, or not most, but a lot of people are struggling with infertility, and it's not due to lack of fertility drugs. Really, it's not. And we find that a lot of it's just people are starving. One of the reasons I started Sunrider is I had a champion show dog, Bichon Frise. I'd been trying to get her pregnant for 2.5 years, and the vet said that her uterus has failed. She just can't have puppies. So I was sprinkling a little bit of the basic Sunrider foods on her food and feeding a little bit of the used Cali leaves, and she went on to have 3 litters of puppies. And so I thought, oh my gosh, it was malnutrition. So we've actually had at least 5 people that we've worked with that couldn't conceive, and all 5 of them went on to have at least 1 and often 2 healthy babies just by nourishing their body. Yeah.
So was there any specific formulas you used?
Well, you know, one thing with reproductive problems in both men and women is often dehydration. In Chinese medicine, it's quite often related to kidney energy. And I remember Barb telling the story years ago when we were in Saskatoon that one lady got pregnant with Cali and another lady got pregnant with Fortune Delight. So just hydrating the body. But again, I think hydration with either Cali, but again, the quinary, because that'll cover your whole reproductive system, your endocrine system, your digestive, your immune, your circulatory, your respiratory. When the body's properly fed, everything works.
Mm-hmm. You did use a little extra PA though, didn't you, for the?
With the dog, yes, I did, and Dong Quai. Dong Quai was so good for the reproductive system.
Yeah. So there's our fine tuning comment, right? So there's lots of Sunrider leaders with lots of experience, and you can just ask the question. And again, chances are the hair analysis probably, or the vitality analysis, would have showed up with that, right? Evergreen. Who was going to talk about Evergreen? Oh.
Sorry, Jim, I was surprised with the quinary part. So Evergreen is one of our favorite foods. Ray and I share a vial every morning in our with our New Plus and our kefir water. It's delightful. And so Evergreen is Sunrider's form of chlorophyll. So the benefits of chlorophyll are amazing, so good for circulatory system and so incredible for digestion. So you can find chlorophyll in leafy green plants, but nobody can eat that much green plants that they would get from one vial of Evergreen. And the problem is when you cook your green plants, you basically wipe out the chlorophyll. So, you know, you'd have to really be eating it raw. So it's a great source of magnesium and calcium and zinc. It gently detoxifies the body. It's really good for oxygenating the blood. And it really helps with to grease your ileocecal valve. And they say up to 60% of people have an ileocecal valve that's stuck open. And you don't want to know what's going on in your body if your ileocecal valve is stuck open. It's pretty bad. Most people with irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, have a stuck ileocecal valve. So chlorophyll is great for that. But the wonder of chlorophyll is how it heals or benefits leaky gut. Scientists now know that our gut is our second brain. And in that, most of your serotonin, which is your happy hormone, actually lies in your gut. We all think it's up here, but no, it's down there in the gut. And so when you have a leaky gut, it just gobbles up those happy hormones, that's serotonin. So chlorophyll is known to heal leaky gut or benefit leaky gut. And all of a sudden you're a lot happier too. Mm-hmm. So what's the difference between Sunrider's Evergreen and all the other chlorophylls out there? Well, number one is concentrations. Dr. Chen takes several kilograms of this amazing organic whole green plants to make one tiny little glass vial. And all of the chlorophyll supplements that are out there are in a water-soluble state. Our body absorbs chlorophyll best when it's in an oil-soluble state, but none of the other companies were able to find a way to keep it in an oil-soluble state without it going bad. So they're all water-based. Ours is oil-based. And I remember years and years ago, I think it was with Judy in Saskatoon, we were in the hotel across from the Saskatoon Inn. And we were talking, Dr. Chen had just shared with us about how much active ingredients are in one tiny little vial. I think that the product he was talking about was called Black Gold. And it was a quart of chlorophyll. It cost $150. And he said that in one little vial of evergreen, there's more active chlorophyll than that whole quart of Black Gold for $150. So you can't touch the value of these foods. Amazing.
A lot of people have just like a third of a vial a day, and that's what I've been doing for 30 years. And chlorophyll also cleanses the stomach, of the gut, of bacteria, right? That's probably why it helps with leaky gut. And so it's also one of the cleansing foods that shows up in the hair analysis. So
I'm holding up a whole box of it here. I'm going to dive in. Thanks, Tricia.
So it's a powerful food. I was told originally, oh, Jim, if you eat evergreen, your hair is going to stop falling out. So it didn't help with that, but it certainly helped with digestion. So, and now that we're talking a little bit about digestion is, people get bloating and they get acid reflux and, and just, you can take like half a vial or a third of a vial of evergreen with some, hot water, warm water, and just drink that. And it's just like, and you can have 3 quinine or AD capsules, which is one of the quinine formulas, and have that. And again, it's so soothing. And so those are some Sunrider things. And like Trudy talked about Vitadophilus, you can have a Vitadophilus, several things for digestion. But what other things cause a lot of digestive problems?
Can I just make one comment about evergreen electrosport?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, about 18 years ago, our son was sent home with Crohn's disease, and he was supposed to die. He had lots of holes that the body had eaten its way through his body, and he had these holes that wouldn't heal, and we couldn't do surgery on him because he wouldn't heal. So he was sent home on tube feedings to keep him comfortable until his time came. Make a long story short, his time didn't come because we used Sunrider. And I remember once just praying for some extra help. And I didn't go to the convention that year because my son was desperately ill. He weighed about 68 pounds and he was 15 years old on tube feeds. That's what fed him during the day. He couldn't eat any other foods because his body reacted to it. So I remember my friend Susan and Foster Martin coming back and saying, oh, you'll be really excited, Judy. Dr. Chen has introduced 2 new products, Electrosport and Evergreen. And so we added both of those to his tube feeds. And it's interesting to hear Tricia talk about the ileocecal valve because he had Crohn's disease. And obviously that's probably where it had the biggest effect because that was in August. And within March of that year, the next year, he was able to stop tube feeding. He completely healed clothes, which was, the doctor said would never happen. They said he would never live a normal life, and he lives a normal life. So just a testimony that Sunrider foods are absolutely amazing. And you just don't know what they can do for you till you try them.
Yeah, that's right.
And what do you do for a living, Judy?
What I do? I was a nurse. And then I went back to school and got my, I was an RN by diploma. Went back and got my post-RN so that I had a baccalaureate degree, and then took my master's so that I could teach about health. And I was very thrilled when we developed a university program for the University of Regina. I was able to implement holistic modalities into the nursing program, so that was taught. And I ran a holistic clinic with some of my students for 7 years. But I'm retired as a nurse, and I'm back to looking at Sunrider. because it's been probably I never stopped eating Sunrider. It has helped with our animals, turtle in specific, that was almost dead, brought our turtle back alive. All sorts of wonderful things. I hear about these pregnancy. I had people become pregnant and children named after my children because those children were born. And, I hear these testimonies and I think, yeah, been there, done that. Yeah, been there, done that. So it's wonderful just to hear about all these testimonies again.
Good. So we're talking about digestion. So people wonder, I got this bloating problem. I've got this acid reflux. I don't know what to do. And I'm eating the basic foods and it's still there. What would be the first thing that you would use, that you suggested of? Trudy, Judy, Trisha, anyone?
I would say the Vitadophilus. That's just my 2 cents worth. Like 2 or 3 packages a day pretty much takes care of, looking after any of that.
Okay. Well, what about other things that
get on that quinary and then add something else?
Yeah.
It could be Vitadophilus. It could be more AD. But get on the quinary and get your body balanced first because it might take care of itself on its own. And
so let's say they're doing those things and they're still having problems. Then
I would probably do Trudy with Vitadophilus and with Trisha with.
But let's say they're doing all that and they're not getting better. What's the
I would really encourage them to do a vitality analysis because they're eating something that's irritating them.
Yeah, they're eating something that's irritating. That's the key word. And there are 9 things that are bad. And coffee is one of them.
Afka, can you mute yourself, please? Yeah, thank you, and good to see you.
I just did. Coffee is a tough one. Chocolate is another. Sugar. So it'd be the list of some of those things: coffee, sugar, chocolate, alcohol,
wheat, dairy.
Yeah. So and the chances are, if they've still got that going down the hatch, then they're going to have problems. But we can help them with that too. Just that there's always it's taking responsibility. What else could I do if being my stomach is not working well? Now, being we just saw Afka's face there, we were talking the other day, and she was just going to mention something about wheat. I know we're running over time. We don't have a lot of time, but years and years and years ago, she got a hair analysis, and cheese and bread were bad for her. And she's like, nah.
Come on. I grew up in farm country. But the funny thing is, as you get older, your digestive system doesn't work as well, maybe as a kid, and for a whole lot of good reasons. But anyways, my biggest thing was constipated for 15 years. The minute I moved to Canada, it was game over. And itchy eyes all the time. And as I didn't clue in that it was connected. But eventually, talking to Jim and getting connected with some really knowledgeable person, I thought, okay, it's worth a try. But I stopped eating dairy. Finally, within 3 days, I was able to just have regular bowel movements. That's how quick it changed and how quickly it can actually damage you as well. And the itchy eyes, when I stopped eating wheat, it all went away. And I hardly eat any bread now. And it's just phenomenal. The minute I have a piece of bread, it's often with like a piece of kohlrabi or butter on it. Like, we don't do jam around this house. It just, bloating still happens, or just that uncomfortable feeling in your stomach, like where it's telling me, wait a minute, I haven't seen this stuff going down the tube for many years. What's going on? And absolutely, when people talk to me at events and stuff, and most of you know, I have a gluten-free, wheat-free, raw food cracker on the market. And the stories that you're telling me, constantly people are showing up with terrible allergies, 3, 4 little kids that don't function well. And the first thing I still say, are you eating bread? Are you eating dairy? Why not give it a try? And, find out how to love foods that love you back. And once you find the secret to eating the foods that love you back and adding some superfood to this when you're really, your body's not working for you, you'll end up being a rock star until you're 100 years old.
That's right. Thank you so much. I love the way you put that. Eat foods that love you back. And that's right. And that's what we found with Sunrider, right? Quinary loves you a lot. And,
well, exactly.
Being stressed out. Talking about being stressed out, I wanted to talk about Beauty Pearl because this was what our call's about. And in fact, we were going to have a prize.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Put in the numbers in the chat. We have to guess a number from 1 to 100, I think.
Well, first let's talk about Beauty Pearl.
Yes, this transformed my life. And if I could only keep one product in Sunrider, it would be the Beauty Pearl. And I'm famous for my story about my son was 8 years old. And I'd started on the basic program for about 3 months, and I was getting crazy results. But I still had, in the morning, especially when my kids were getting ready for school, I'd be shouting at them. I would be so stressed, and I would just not be a nice person. And I started on the Beauty Pearl. And 2 weeks later, my 8-year-old said to me, "Mom, you don't have flames coming out of your head anymore." So that's my Beauty Pearl story.
A lot of people, you come across them and they're so irritable and they're so impatient, and I don't know if they've started their day off with some caffeine or what it is, but something's not working for them. And if you get people on a Beauty Pearl a day, if you get them off caffeine and drinking Fortune Delight, that's one thing, right? And then you get them on some Quinary, which can be very calming also and balancing. And then you get them on a Beauty Pearl. And everybody, like all those books that were read or written years ago, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, they were written for people who use Beauty Pearl. And it's good for men. It's good for teenagers. It's good for women, right? It's good for everyone. Mm-hmm. And I've been on it and off it, and I just find I can just plow through massive amounts of stress and people and stuff as long as I got my Beauty Pearl. But if I don't, I start getting a little testy and a little bit less patient.
So can I offer on the physical level what Beauty Pearl can do?
Mm-hmm.
When I first, from the time I was a teenager till the time I was introduced to Sunrider, which was in my mid-30s, I had a horrific menstrual cycle. And for people who've been through that, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to get into graphics, but it's awful. And I would regularly miss a day of school or work it was long and just miserable, that kind of thing. And then I was introduced to Sunrider, did the basic program, and it got quite a bit better. But then I was introduced to Beauty Pearl, and all of those symptoms went away. The length of the actual period got much, much shorter. I used to have terrible PMS. I knew way ahead of time when it was coming and how awful it was going to be. And with the Beauty Pearl, that didn't happen. And so I would never be without my Beauty Pearl. And then I ate it for years. And one month at Christmas time, I forgot to put it on my order. I thought, I'm not placing an order for just a Beauty Pearl. So I went for a month without Beauty Pearl. In that time, those symptoms came back. And what was even more alarming to me was my skin started getting kind of just papery and thin and old looking. So I would not be without my Beauty Pearl.
It's really life-changing.
It absolutely is.
And again, it's like you're on the basic foods, but it's like you add in the Beauty Pearl, you add in the Evergreen, you add in the Vitadophilus, and we've been talking about fine-tuning, making little adjustments, changing your diet. And I'm going to push this coffee button one more time. I remember in the beginning when Diana Walker started on Sunrider, and she had all these benefits, but I forget what it was, if it was fatigue or something was going on. She was kind of complaining one day about something not right, not feeling as good as she could. And I was like, "You're still drinking coffee, aren't you?" And she's like, yeah, I'm having 1 cup every morning on the way to work.
That's right. That's right. And Jim
so,
told me, no, it takes 24 hours for your liver to detox 1 cup. So that is harming your body. And so then I managed to cut that out by having Kelly first thing. And I didn't have any withdrawal from that final cup. I was at 8 cups a day. And what it was my ankles were still swollen, even though I'd gotten rid of 7 cups. And I'm saying to Jim, like, why is that still happening? And so he said that, get rid of that 1 cup in the morning
like,
of coffee.
That 1 cup of negativity, right? It can really have, it doesn't sound like much, but it can have big consequences. It can just stop you from moving forward. So, like Randy, I liked what he said one time. He was doing a seminar here and he goes, if someone's not getting the results you're looking at, he goes, they probably have a secret. So you had a little secret, but it wasn't too much of a secret.
Can I say one thing about the beauty pearl with the, you see it come up on the vitality analysis sometime. And I had this one friend who was like, oh my God, she was a really bitchy friend. And her husband was just like, oh my God, she was just like, always going through something. And so usually when you get the vitality analysis, one beauty pearl a day. Well, for her, 3 beauty pearl a day.
Wow, it was really crabby.
So she started doing it and their marriage changed.
I guess it would.
Randy, I have a question for you since you're the vitality guy. What product tests the best for everyone across the board you find? What is the product that you say tests the best Sunrider product for most people?
Of a single product, it would be Quinary, actually.
Quinary? Okay.
Cool. All right, so we're running out of time, so I'm just going to quickly just touch on a few things here, and then we're going to come back to our little draw, and we're going to give away our Beauty Pro. Some things that happen sometimes is people have skin issues, and it's because they're using alkaline soaps. Most of your detergents are really alkaline, and the difference that can happen by adding in the Super Clean is amazing, because you wear those clothes all day long with those chemicals on it, and it just keeps irritating your skin. So that can change a lot. For people that want to use something really simple in their skincare, soaps are really alkaline. The liquid soap is a fabulous product. It's pH balanced. It won't strip your acid mantles. The difference that alone can make to how much moisture your skin has is significant. And a lot of men and even women will use the hand and body lotion, and they may just use it everywhere, on your face, on your arms. It is such a good product. Little things like that will make a big difference. And earlier on, Randy mentioned dandelion root. And dandelion root it's very good for the liver. And the liver has a lot to do with emotion, like Tricia was talking about. And my vitality analysis calls for 3 dandelion root a day. So I just have them every day, and I just notice a difference. You're happier, your body is just more efficient. Green ginseng is the thing I found that made my muscles more elastic. That really changed my life. It really, really did. And the hair analysis also, for me, mentioned sunrise. So, okay, I've never seen that show up in a hair analysis before. So I started having a sunrise every day. And now I can touch my toes. I can do things I haven't been able to do since I was 6 years old. I could touch my knees for many, many years. So now I can touch my toes. So sunrise and Korean ginseng are really, really working for me. The other day I was talking to a gal. Well, I have to tell a story quick. Is years ago when Chen released sport caps. And he explained it in a way that he said, as we age, we lose muscle, and how people shrink and whatnot. He goes, they're losing bone density and muscle density. And sport caps are a food that really helps support your joints, your tendons, and your protein in your body, which is your heart, your disc of your spine, and all your muscle. And so he says it'll help you keep your muscle longer. Now, a lot of us use sport caps if we get an injury. Oh, let's get on those sport caps. But I take 3 sport caps every day. And it helps lubricate your joints. The other day I was talking to a gal and she's like, yeah, my knees ache. And I said, well, you've got sport caps in the cover. And she goes, yeah. I said, why don't you eat them every day instead of just waiting until you get injured somehow? So sport caps are an amazing product for things like that. And then the last 3 products I'm going to mention, and I'm just going to throw this out there for you guys, is how many of you guys use Top, Ease, and Joy? And does anybody have any comments on these foods?
All I can say is woohoo!
Mhm.
There's a jet set. Yeah,
You know, and
amazing.
how much do you need to use, Trudy?
I just eat one of each a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? One of each a day keeps you sharp, keeps your creativity working, and the joy, it does actually make you happy, but it's for your nervous system from the neck down. Like it's the jet set, if there ever was a jet set, Top, Ease, and Joy. So if you need to be smarter and handle stress better. So those are kind of our fine-tuning things. I hope we didn't talk about too much stuff. So now we're going to give away a box of Beauty Pearl. Who wants it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we've got, how many people on the call? We've got 24 people on the call. And so I need some help with this somehow, and I want everybody to pick a number between 1 and 100.
Maybe we should write our thing in the chat, Jim.
Yeah, that
Okay.
right in the chat. And for
All right.
those that are on the phone, I'm not sure. They might have to unmute themselves and give their number.
22.
Now I know your number.
So Roy's number is 22.
Yeah.
Martha Kerman, Brad Mummery, Roy, Judy Hill, Trudy, Peggy, Diana Walker, Lauren from Calgary, Afka, Lauren from Moose Jaw. I've got Raylene, I've got Trisha, I've got Marilyn, I've got Gail with a Y, I've got Randy, Gail from Winnipeg, Terry, Barb Curry, and Christine. So who don't I have?
Diana Harrington, 52.
Oh, how did I miss that?
And Ann, 9.
Yeah, 9.
Okay,
Okay.
and you've got Kelly's then?
No, I don't have Kelly.
He's got 17 marked down here.
17. Okay. So do we have everybody now?
So
Do I have everybody?
Yes.
Going. Gone. No, the number was 42. Christine gets it. With
Wow, yay.
Woohoo! All right.
Congratulations, Christine.
Oh, thank you.
So does anybody have any questions before we wrap this up?
Nope. It's great, Jim.
It was
yes,
great.
thank you, Jim.
It was
Thank
great.
you very much for this.
This was an excellent. I'm going to send this to everybody and more.
All
Me
right.
too.
Well,
Wonderful
I'll put it out,
call.
and on a YouTube video today. I'll put it out this morning.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you so much for joining and all taking part. It was great. It was just the spontaneity of it all. It was just great. So again, thanks so much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Woo.